Well, hello and welcome or welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a good day. Today we're gonna do something, well, not just today actually, it is something that I want to start with. I would like to start reading these tales, the Final Fantasy XIV side stories, and it's something that you guys have been telling me for about, I don't know, about a few months, and I always say to myself, okay, this is gonna be my morning coffee content. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read these, but it never really happened. And I've been playing Final Fantasy for more than a year now, and never have I ever read a single story. So, what we're gonna do is we are going to enjoy this content together. Anyways, I am going to start at the very beginning. I was debating whether or not I should start at Endwalker and kind of go back, but I would like to experience these series the way they were made. So we're gonna start with like the Realm Reborn and with the Calamity stuff, and from what I understood, each expansion got their own side stories and whatnot. The only ones that I actually got to read was the additional info about the grand companies of Eorzea, which was fun. But I think that this is something that I definitely want to read and just kind of comment on. So I hope you enjoy this type of content. It's new for me. It is something that I'm going to experiment with a little bit. So if you like this kind of stuff, I'd appreciate it if you would let me know in the comments. And if you happen to be new to the channel, I'll make sure to hit that sub button to know where to come back. All right. Yeah. Let's go. The first one is Tales from the Calamity. What is this? Where victory and glory lead. All right. Let's begin. Tales from the Calamity, where victory and glory lead. We are lost, thought Merlwyb Oh my god, Bloefhiswyn. I wanted this to be good. Immured for eons and free at last, the primal Bahamut laid waste to the Cartanu Flats, burning Eorzeans and Garleans alike. But I will find a way. Tearing her gaze away from the bloody chum, she bit down gently on her tongue, an old commander's trick, and despite the ash-laden air, the voice that issued from her throat was as clear as compass wind. Belay previous orders. All Maelstrom units are commanded to fall back, effective immediately. In the distance, the Admiral caught a glimpse of Archon Louis Oas's resolute silhouette, arms raised in a rite of summoning. Not even the 12 can help us now, she thought with something like despair as she swung herself into the saddle. Dalamud has hatched, and no man can unbreak an egg. Give the foreign levy priority. Let the main host cover their retreat and bring up the rear. My god, I love her. She's so powerful. She's actually the reason why I chose Slimsa as my home city and whatnot. Well, not the home city. I started playing in Ul'dah, and I chose them as my grand company, and I've never really looked back. Even though I'm probably gonna switch at some point to get all of the other grand companies like loot and such, but still. Enzar's slave Furson let go of the bridle as Merlwyb took hold of the reins. A shard of the false moon had pierced the mail under his right arm, she saw. Blood-riled, dark and steady. Her adjutant would likely not survive a hard ride. Get those adventurers to safety, she repeated. I shall send you stragglers. We must regroup. See to it. At once, Admiral. Enzar snapped a salute. He knows me too well to waste time arguing, Merlwyb reflected as she urged her faithful bird to a gallop. Oh, Chocobo. And he knows most of our runners are dead or near as damn it. A sharp quack brought her back to the present. Good girl, Vicky, she murmured as the Chocobo sped onward through a blur of death and ruin. I didn't know her Chocobo's name was Vicky, and I have to zoom this in because I literally can't see the letters. Fall back to the main host, Merlwyb called again and again until the route became a stream, then a river, flowing towards Enzar and she hoped safety. But there was a knot in the crowd, fighting its way against the tide until it emerged at the rear, then pushing on towards the Garlean position. Always, Merlwyb thought without rancor and spurred her chocobo forward. Always there are those who put glory before victory. Save your breath, Admiral. I mean to make those Garleans curs pay, and pay they will, Rosman spat, and Merlwyb was reminded of the old saying, Pirates weep with their swords, and their tears are red. Ooh, that's That's a good one. So many sirens. Spleeny Eberil won't sing no more, nor Anna's Black Eye, nor There You Are, your liverless, thin-pot bastards. A savage joy blazed in Roswyn's eyes at the sight of something behind Merlwyb. The Maelstrom commander touched her spur to Victory's left flank. Vicky is Victory. Oh, I see. Left flank as she unholstered her pistols in one smooth motion. Death penalty barked, and a Garlean legionnaire tumbled backwards. Two sharp coughs from Annihilator, and more men fell, to reveal the beetle black gleam of magic armor pressing the side. It has a beak, Merlwyb thought with strange calm, her legs squeezing Victory's flanks of their own accord. The chocobo sprang as the Magitech cannon roared. The Merlwyb was falling, the world drowning in blood and feathers, and she knew no more. The most rest you've had in years, I'll wager. Merlwyb awoke to a familiar sight. Her quarters on the Triumph, and Eusnare, his face graven with fatigue, but alive and on his feet. How long? She demanded. Present course and speed? 2 days, Limsa 8 knots, he answered. The Alliance regrouped in Thanalan, where the alchemists saw to our hurts. They meant to keep you abed in Nolda, but I assured them that that won't be necessary. We are crossing the Strait of Merlthor for home. The sirens, Roswyn, Inzar, I need to learn this name. Inzar laughed. Merlwyb could almost hear the rust in it. Command, especially the command of a retreating force, was a somber business. The bloody executioners hauled you from the front like pullers with a bulging net, but they had no luck coaxing Captain Roswyn to join the retreat. Then came the last of the dread pirate crews 3, the Kraken's Arm, and Carvelane swept her up onto the saddle like a bloody knight of Ishgard. Last I saw, they were trading curses. Good. Merlwyb willed her eyes to stay open. She was suddenly very tired, and could not bring to mind the names of the others who had been present. No matter. Eusnar would know. The retreat from Cartano. I ordered a unit to be given priority. Did you get them to safety? Eusnar looked at her, his brow furrowed. Beg pardon, Admiral? My orders were to bring up the rear as the main host retreated, gathering any stragglers you directed towards us, then began regrouping. What? You did not order that any be given priority over another. The coming days were too full for Merlwyb or Isnar to fret over much about her odd lapse. She had taken a blow to her head after all, and it was a trifle compared to what awaited them in Vulbrand. As the Triumph neared home, they saw livid crystals bursting from Faris Sirius, flaunting their corruption for all to see. Galadion Bay was a floating Cartano, the sea strewn with bodies, debris, and hollow-eyed survivors of the tidal wave that had scoured the coastline. Eusnar was lucky, Merlwyb thought as she surveyed the destruction. What size these shards to make an eighth hell of this fair anchorage? And what of we who have been spared? How can we go on when so much has been lost? I will find a way. See, I never knew much about their story and what they've been through together, and I just kind of love that I'm suddenly learning more about him as well. Merlwyb ordered that the Maelstrom's temporary command be established at the Moravi dry docks, sheltered from the worst of the Great Wave by the god's grip. From there, the remains of Limsa Lominsa's great armada sailed with food and supplies, aid and succor, women of strength and men of compassion. Admiral Merlwyb slept little, but when she did, it was always one of 2 dreams that she dreamed. In one, she bit down on her tongue, then called out, "Give them priority, let the main host cover their retreat." In the other, she rode a D-strider in the cool night, the bird crooning contentedly and the rider murmuring, "Good girl, Vicky." Time passed. Some wounds healed, others did not. Oh, this is giving me goosebumps, jeez. The fishing boats returned to sea, and the merchants, stevedores, and culpers to the docks. The new Maelstrom command took shape on the upper docks. The ships of the Armada returned to their proper anchorage, and the Moravi dry docks were recommissioned as a shipyard. During those turbulent days, those who knew Merlwyb best, and there were not many, remarked that she had been changed by Cartano. To the scores that came to the Admiral for help, she gave no false comfort, but neither was she as hard as once she had been. She spoke instead of hope, courage, and the lost warriors who stood with the Archon on the Cartano flats. For this Merlwyb won the love of her people, yet struggled to accept it. So unsettling did the thought seem to her that one night, unable to sleep, she wandered the city, finding herself at length outside an Ashgardian stable as young birds murmured drowsily within. When Nalik and Windmills began work on the first of the Thalassocracy's new warships, there was no question as to whom the honor of naming it would go. One fine day soon after, half the city turned to see the Victory's keel laid. Oh, when the Admiral of Limsa inscribed her name upon the oak with a great flourish, the cheers rolled like thunder across the tranquil waters of Galadion Bay and set the gulls and ravens flapping from every mast. I love stories about her. Like I didn't honestly like when I started playing, I didn't know much about Merlwyb, but like she just struck me as so strong and just incredible and vicious in a way that I knew that as soon as I arrived into Limsa that was gonna be my grand company, and I like I said, I never looked back, and I actually don't understand why I didn't start reading these stories before, because they are so good. And you know what? I remember when I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, it was like I want to say day one or day two, I still didn't really understand what MSQ is going to be like. And I wanted to play a little bit off stream because I didn't have a set schedule, and some things I was doing off stream as well. And I remember going through this particular cutscene. It was like it was the preview like of the Calamity, and just kind of you know my first encounter with the horror of that day. And I remember that cutscene being the first one that like made me cry and I didn't even know why I was crying. I was off stream and I was like, oh good, no one's actually seeing me crying, or just kind of being this, I don't know, shaken by the game. But like a year later, after Shadowbringers, after Endwalker, after everything, like I can see how much the perspective can change, and how we were all just kind of, I don't know, meant to experience these things together. And I'm just happy that I experienced it with you. And I vividly remember Merlwyb, and like the way she was, I don't know, the way she basically, in my eyes, the way she carried like all of that. She didn't carry it. Like every one of them had a role, and they were all heroes. But like her attitude and just her representation was something that just struck me the most. And I'm just so happy that I started with this story. And honestly, I can't wait to see like the POV of the other ones from the Calamity. It's such a horrifying event. And I hope that after going through these stories, I'm going to develop that little bit of an appreciation of like what it was actually like. Because I feel like even though I went through the entire story, I feel like there are still things that I didn't, I want to say, didn't feel properly. Because I at the beginning when I started playing, I didn't know how important some of these events are, how important they were going to be. And I'm finally developing the appreciation for these past events, and that's why I decided to start with the Tales of the Calamity. Is that what they're called? Yeah, okay, Tales from the Calamity first, so that I can I don't know, relive that in the proper way and feel like I've actually immersed myself into it. I won't keep you long with these stories. I could be going through like the entire, I don't know, Tales from the Calamity at the same time. But I just kind of want to make sure that as we go through, that we immerse ourselves into one of them. And if you're later on watching these through playlists, you're free to move on to the next one. I have a feeling that I'm really gonna like this one. And honestly, I don't know what happened to the writers who wrote this one, who wrote the other ones. But if the other ones are half as good as these ones, and if they give me goosebumps half as much, I will be, I'll be happy. And yeah, thank you for listening to this one. If you've already read it, thank you for revisiting it with me, and I will see you in the next story. Bye.